When most people think of the Roman Empire, they picture its dramatic fall, barbarian invasions, crumbling monuments, and the end of an era that once ruled the known world. But Rome's story didn't end there. In fact, the spirit of Rome endured, transforming and adapting to new challenges in a changing world. After the Western Empire collapsed, a new chapter began in the East, the Byzantine Empire. Rising from the ashes, it would become a beacon of civilization for centuries. The Byzantines saw themselves as Romans, heirs to Caesar and Augustus, even as their language became Greek and their capital shifted to the magnificent city of Constantinople. While the West fell into chaos and darkness, the East thrived, preserving Roman law, engineering, and culture. The Byzantines built on Roman foundations, improving roads, aqueducts, and legal systems. Constantinople became a fortress of wealth and power, its golden domes and mighty walls ruling lands from the Balkans to Egypt, and serving as a crossroads between Europe and Asia. The Byzantines were not just survivors, they were innovators, blending Roman tradition with Greek learning and Christian faith. Their scholars, artists, and theologians shaped a unique civilization. They preserved ancient knowledge, copying the works of Plato and Aristotle, and kept the flame of learning alive through Europe's dark ages. Their libraries and monasteries became sanctuaries for wisdom. Byzantium was a bridge between the ancient and modern worlds, a guardian of civilization for 1,000 years, passing on the legacy of Rome to future generations. Its legacy endures in our laws, art, and faith. The influence of Byzantium can still be seen in churches, legal codes, and artistic traditions across continents. This is the epic tale of the Byzantine Empire, a forgotten superpower whose influence still shapes our world, reminding us that Rome's story was far from over. The Byzantine Empire began not as a sudden break from Rome, but as a creative answer to the empire's growing troubles. As the old Roman world started to crumble under its own weight, a new vision was needed to keep its legacy alive. Rome, once the heart of a vast empire, was now struggling with invasions, economic decline, and political chaos. The city's glory was fading, and its leaders searched desperately for solutions. By the 3rd century, the empire had grown too vast and unwieldy to be ruled from a single city. Communication was slow, borders were under constant threat, and the old systems could no longer cope. Emperor Diocletian, a skilled reformer, decided to split the empire into eastern and western halves. This bold move made it easier to govern and defend, and it set the stage for a new era. Then came Constantine the Great, a visionary leader who saw the East as the future of Rome. He understood that the empire needed a fresh start, far from the old city's troubles. He chose Byzantium, a small but strategic city at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, as the site for his new capital. Its location offered natural defenses and access to vital trade routes. Renamed Constantinople, the city became a natural fortress, protected by water and walls, and quickly grew into a thriving hub of commerce and culture. Constantine filled his new capital with grand forums, magnificent palaces, and splendid Christian churches, including the legendary Hagia Sophia. The city soon became the heart of a new Christian empire. Founded in 330 AD, Constantinople quickly outshone Old Rome, dazzling the world as Europe's largest and richest city for centuries. Its influence would shape history for generations. The city's creation marked a turning point in history. Rome's legacy would not end, but instead survive and thrive in the East, carried forward by a new generation. Diocletian's division and Constantine's vision together gave birth to Byzantium, blending old traditions with new ambitions. In Constantinople, the Roman world was reborn, stronger, more resilient, and ready to shape the future of Europe and beyond. 2 centuries after Constantine, the empire reached its golden age under Justinian. Justinian dreamed of restoring Rome's glory, and his armies, led by Belisarius, reclaimed lands in North Africa, Italy, and Spain. But Justinian's greatest legacy was the Justinian Code, a unified set of laws that shaped European legal systems for centuries. His wife Theodora rose from humble origins to become his most trusted advisor and co-ruler. During the Nika riots, Theodora's courage saved the throne, and she championed the rights of women and the poor. Together they built the Hagia Sophia, a church of breathtaking beauty and engineering. Its massive dome became a symbol of Byzantine genius and faith. Justinian and Theodora's reign defined Byzantium's spirit, ambitious, resilient, and deeply Christian. Their partnership shaped a golden age of law, art, and power. Their legacy still stands in the heart of Istanbul. Byzantium was more than an empire. It was a civilization shaped by Greek learning, Roman law, and Christian faith. The Byzantines saw their empire as a reflection of heaven, with the emperor as God's representative. While Western Europe struggled, Byzantine scholars preserved and studied ancient texts, acting as a great library for the world. Their art dazzled glittering mosaics and sacred icons filled churches, designed to inspire awe and connect believers to the divine. The official faith was Eastern Orthodox Christianity, with unique traditions and ceremonies distinct from the West. Services were conducted in Greek, filled with chanting and mystery. Church and state were deeply intertwined, uniting the people under faith and emperor. This powerful blend of learning, art, and religion gave Byzantium its enduring soul. Byzantium's survival depended on constant vigilance and innovation. Surrounded by enemies, the empire built a professional army and mastered the arts of war and diplomacy. Constantinople's Theodosian walls, a triple line of defenses, repelled invaders for 1,000 years. The city's greatest secret was Greek fire, a mysterious weapon that burned even on water, devastating enemy fleets. The recipe was so secret it's lost to history. Diplomacy was another weapon. The Byzantines played enemies against each other, arranged strategic marriages, and converted neighbors to Orthodox Christianity. This mix of military might, impenetrable walls, secret weapons, and clever diplomacy kept Byzantium alive for centuries. The empire became a bastion of civilization amid constant conflict. Its defenses were legendary, its survival remarkable. Byzantium endured where others fell. For centuries, Christianity was united, but deep differences grew between East and West. The Pope in Rome claimed supremacy, while the Patriarch of Constantinople saw himself as an equal. Language, culture, and theology divided them. Latin in the West, Greek in the East. Disputes over doctrine and church practices widened the gap. In 1054, the Great Schism split Christianity. The West became Roman Catholic, the East became Eastern Orthodox. This division weakened Byzantium, turning religious allies into rivals. The West no longer saw Byzantines as fellow Christians, but as schismatics. The split left Byzantium isolated at a critical time. The wound never healed, paving the way for future betrayals. The schism marked a turning point in the empire's decline. In the late 11th century, the Byzantine Empire faced a dire crisis. The once mighty empire, which had stood as a bulwark between Europe and Asia for centuries, was suddenly threatened as the Seljuk Turks swept through Anatolia, conquering its heartland and leaving devastation in their wake. The loss of these vital territories not only weakened Byzantium militarily, but also struck at the core of its economy and identity. Desperate for aid, Emperor Alexios V Komnenos reached out to the west, sending envoys to Pope Urban II. He hoped for a small, disciplined force of mercenaries to help push back the invaders and restore stability to his empire. But what followed was far beyond his expectations. The West responded with the First Crusade, a massive movement of armies, knights, and pilgrims, all marching east under the banner of Christendom. Their stated goal was to aid Byzantium and reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control, but their sheer numbers and zeal changed the course of history. From the start, relations were uneasy. The Crusaders, often unruly and fiercely independent, distrusted the Byzantines, whom they saw as scheming and effete. Meanwhile, the Byzantines viewed the Westerners as uncultured, unpredictable, and difficult to command, making cooperation fraught with suspicion and tension. Despite promises of returning captured lands, the Crusaders established their own states on Byzantine territory, carving out principalities and fortresses that further eroded imperial authority and trust. With each new crusade, the strain on Byzantium grew. The empire's resources were drained by constant warfare, famine, and the burden of supporting foreign armies, leaving its people exhausted and its treasury empty. The greatest catastrophe came in 1204, when the Fourth Crusade, diverted from its original mission, turned on Constantinople itself. The city's mighty walls were breached and chaos reigned. Crusaders looted the city for days, stealing priceless treasures, desecrating churches, and leaving a trail of destruction that shocked the Christian world. The once glorious empire was shattered, its capital in ruins, its lands divided among conquerors. Byzantium was broken into fragments, and though it would limp on, it would never fully recover its former strength. The sack of Constantinople was a betrayal by fellow Christians, a mortal wound inflicted not by foreign invaders, but by supposed allies. deepening the rift between East and West. In the end, the Crusades, which began as a desperate plea to save the empire, instead helped seal its tragic fate, leaving Byzantium a shadow of its former self. After the Fourth Crusade, Byzantium was a shadow of its former self, reduced to Constantinople and a few scattered lands. Surrounded by rising powers, especially the Ottomans, the empire struggled to survive. The Ottomans, relentless and united, conquered Byzantine lands piece by piece. By the 15th century, Constantinople was isolated, its population dwindling, its glory fading. In 1453, Sultan Mehmed II besieged the city with a massive army and terrifying cannons. Emperor Constantine VIII led a desperate defense with just 7,000 men. For 53 days they held out, repairing walls and repelling attacks. On May 29th, the Ottomans broke through. Constantine died fighting on the walls. Mehmed entered the city and the Byzantine Empire was no more. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves across the Christian world. After more than 1,000 years, the last Roman Empire was gone. But its story was not over. The fall of Byzantium ended an empire, but not its influence. Its legacy lives on in the Eastern Orthodox Church, with over 200 million followers today. Byzantine missionaries spread faith and literacy, creating the Cyrillic alphabet for Slavic peoples. When scholars fled the fallen city, they brought ancient Greek knowledge to the West, sparking the Renaissance. The Justinian Code shaped modern European law. Byzantine art and architecture inspired generations, from mosaics to the domes of churches and mosques. The Hagia Sophia remains a wonder of the world. Byzantium's spirit endures, a golden thread woven into our shared history. The empire is gone, but its light still shines.